Good afternoon, UMBC. I think we can do better than that. Good afternoon, UMBC. Good afternoon. Thank you. Whether you're here in person or joining us virtually, welcome. I'm Dr. Carissa Chia, and I'm a faculty member in the Department of Psychology and faculty affiliate in Asian Studies. Since January, I've also been serving as faculty co-chair of our strategic plan. After nearly 21 years here at UMBC, can you believe it? I can't. It's truly special for me to be speaking with you. But honestly, I would never have guessed that it would have been in this capacity. My research program focuses on understanding and really supporting and promoting positive growth and development among youth and their families in marginalized communities. Alongside passionate graduate and undergraduate students in my lab, one of the core processes that we study, that we work with, is how youth form and express their identities, especially when they receive messages that they do not belong. I think this issue has become even more salient for many of us these days. Every day, the news reminds us that the challenges faced by all the communities that we care about. And everything that we do here at UMBC, I feel, and I'm sure you do as well, has become more difficult. But I would argue also more important than ever. In uncertain times like these, we must clearly define who we are as individuals, as community members, and as a university. I'm genuinely excited about UMB's future because I truly believe President Valerie Sheares Ashby and her team has the vision, courage, and commitment to guide us forward while ensuring that every community member feels heard and feels valued. You'll see what I mean when you hear them speak today. I encourage all of you, all of us, from faculty, staff, students, and alumni, to actively participate in the strategic planning process, even if, and perhaps especially if, you, like me, never imagined yourself doing so or never thought your voice really mattered. I'm here in this role really to let you know that your voice and engagement are essential to this process. So I hope that you'll take that to heart. And now it's my pleasure, really my honor, to turn things over to our president, Dr. Valerie Sheares Ashby, and our provost, Dr. Manfred Dulmen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Love it.
And happy Friday. So Valerie, we're both relative newcomers to UMBC, and you're in your third year as president. I'm in my first year as provost. And how are you thinking about UMBC's journey to this point and where we are in its evolution?
So again, welcome everybody. So happy to see all of you here, those of you who are here in the room and those who are online. If you've heard me talk recently, you've heard me talk about UMBC 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. And when I think about UMBC in those three kinds of eras, 1.0 was our commuter school version, right? That was the moment on September the 19th in 1966, where we welcomed 750 students, 45 faculty, 35 staff, and we had 500 parking spaces, right? That was, and everybody still cares how many parking spaces we have. That was UMBC 1.0. And then we moved on to 2.0, but let me just say about 1.0 before I talk about 2.0, I'm really grateful for that beginning because from the very beginning, the seeds of what UMBC today were planted. It was really clear from the founding four and from those initial faculty and staff that they knew who we were and who they wanted us to be. And they took that risk in 1966. And then we moved on to 2.0. And I'll tell you a little bit about 2.0, and you know it. In 2.0, oh, you know what, wait a minute, I'm backing up. I want to tell you more about 1.0. 1.0 had some moments, I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget to tell you. Some moments that were really important, and you might not know unless you've studied UMBC's history a little bit. So I wrote them down to share with you. From the beginning, we actually believed in community and global engagement. David T. Lewis was the first faculty member hired here, and he lectured on world populations and race relations. He organized a series of lectures on the energy crisis in the 1970s and coordinated a documentary photography project on East Baltimore. Do you hear that? In 1966, and it led to a book titled Neighborhood, A State of Mind. So we were UMBC from moment one, right? We were dedicated to students from the beginning. I hear the story all of the time about the first day of class and the Sunday before that first day where 20 or so people showed up to put the finishing touches on the buildings to welcome students in. And I hear people who were there saying, yeah, we were painting and we were putting the doorknobs on so that students could come in. Shared governance was seen very, very early. There was a student protest concerning faculty employment policies, and that led to the inclusion of a student representative on faculty senate committees. And innovation was at our core from the very beginning. The UNIVAC 9400. I know. The university's first computer arrives in 1972, and the first Fortran courses taught in 1972. Some of you don't even know what Fortran is. I know. Inclusion and opportunity started in 1.0. Did you hear that? Inclusion and opportunity started in 1.0. This is the period where the Women's Union formed and the first women's studies courses were taught right alongside that Fortran course in 1972. There you go. And the W.E.B. Du Bois Distinguished Lecture Series started in 1975 by the division that would become the Africana Studies Department. So we've been doing inclusive excellence since 1.0. And by the end of the 1970s, you can document this, we were still a commuter campus, but now we had 3,000 parking spaces. Okay? That's 1.0.
So that's really incredible. And to me, one of the things that stand out is sort of the coherence to today, and particularly to what you said, like inclusive excellence was there from the beginning, and particularly considering the late 1960s. I think it's quite remarkable.
It is. It's inspiring and remarkable. So we go on to 2.0. And 2.0 is where UMBC has now claimed its spotlight in the national and global stage. It's clearly marked by Freeman's presidency, where he clearly became a national and globally recognized leader in higher education. The Meyerhoff Scholars Program begins in the late 80s, 1988. This is the time when UMBC is also listed for 5 years in a row as the #1 up-and-coming school, 5 years in a row. And who can forget the Cinderella story? I can't, because everywhere I go, somebody tells me. Everywhere. Did you know that we were the first number 16 seat? Tiffany Tucker, who's our AD, it was a great day to be a retriever right back there. And then in that same 2.0 time frame, we become the Research One institution that we are today, marking years of incredible scholarly and research growth. And it's in the last part of 2.0 that you, as this community, gave me a gift. You wrote this authentic and aspirational UMBC vision statement that you know I love. And you put the stake in the ground again in 2.0 to say, we are going to redefine excellence in higher education through an inclusive culture. You just wanted to make sure that we didn't forget it from 1.0 to 2.0. And so that's where we were at the end of 2.0.
So I really, I see a theme coming through here, and also something that's unique about UMBC, where in 2.0, it really established itself as a public research university where inclusive excellence is at the heart of all that you do. And there are very few, if any, other universities in the country where that's the case.
No, we are unique in that way. And so then it takes us to 3.0, which is where I see we are now. We're at the beginning of 3.0. No longer are we up and coming. We're not up and coming, y'all. We're here. We have arrived. Yes. We are known, as Manfred just said, as a model for inclusive excellence, for innovation, as a great place to do teaching and research. And if we could just take a moment before I talk about the future, and we're going to talk about the future, I want to just highlight for you some of the wonderful things that are happening right now. I know we spend a lot of time talking about the plan, but I want you to know we're doing this wonderful thing right now. Right?
I think one of the things that's really awesome is that we're going to the moon.
Yes.
So we are, as you know,
Yeah.
yes, you can clap for that, thank you.
Yeah.
We are the only U.S. institution with a scientific instrument that will be deployed on the moon's surface in Artemis 3 mission.
Crazy.
And the first return of humanity to the moon since the Apollo mission.
And I tell that story everywhere I go. The only. That is incredible. Did you know that we will graduate our 100,000th student this spring? Like, that's incredible. That's incredible. And our research expenditures, talking about this Research One institution, our research expenditures have grown from 82 million to just north of 150 million in the last 3 years. Like, that is, that's your Vice President for Research and Creative Achievement. Yes, yes.
So talking about research, we're advancing research in all fields, not just a few. And like really from the arts and humanities to social and natural sciences to engineering and improving health and well-being of our communities and the state's economy. And so we're really truly a comprehensive research university.
We really are. And so now where we are at the beginning of this 3.0, so we're grounded in this rich history. And I want you to just know how much I respect and honor that history. Right? We are grounded in that rich history, but we're at this moment for a bold shift towards the future. Right? We are going to shift from this startup model to a sustained model of growth and excellence for the next generation. In UMBC 3.0, I want you to imagine how different 2.0 was from 1.0. Can you just sit with that for a second? Now imagine 3.0 from 2.0, right? When I walk around campus and I do this imagining, I start to see it, and then don't get nervous. I do see things that are not there. Okay? I can see a college town. I can see it. I see the students eating, talking, I see it. I can see an innovation hub where ideas and activities I can see it. I can see a student success district where all of the things that the students need to matriculate are together in a kind of a one-stop shop in an area of campus. I can see that. And I can see, for those of you who are worried if I can't see it, I can see new and improved teaching and research facilities, right? I see all of that. And to me, that is the version of 3.0, right? That's where we think we're heading.
And so, Valerie, this is really helpful to hear this transformation, the vision, and also moving from a startup to a sustainable model. And particularly as somebody who's fairly new to UMBC. And it's really impressive to see how much change has occurred from 1.0 to 2.0, and exciting to imagine what 3.0 will be and can be. And so we're really in a fortunate position as a community to ask ourselves, like, how can we do better? How can we serve more Marylanders? How can we help every student thrive and succeed? How can we support our faculty and staff to be the best version of themselves? And how can we help our communities and economic partners to thrive and foster? And that's where a strategic plan comes in. So let's talk about a strategic plan. Like, what is a strategic plan anyway? Why should we bother developing one? I don't think there are many people on campus who say, let's develop a strategic plan. I'm excited to do that. I am excited to do that. But why, and also why now, and especially in the context of all this uncertainty in higher education, Why should we be thinking about a strategic plan right now?
So I so appreciate that. And I've thought about a way to articulate this to you. Let me begin where I ended. So the first thing a strategic plan should do is honor the past. Right? You think about it going forward, but you start by honoring the past while creating a vivid vision and a framework for the future with clear measures of success and accountability. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it grounds us in our purpose and values. Right? We need to be really clear about our purpose and values. The third is that it serves as a consistent reminder of who we are and what truly matters. Right? Some days there are a lot of distractions, right? And it helps us understand that and remember that. It engages all of our audiences in understanding and joining us in service to our purpose. It provides clarity. We need it. And a guide for effective decision-making and resources. Can you imagine a version of a university where the resources actually match the purpose? It's a great idea. This actually helps us to be more flexible. Now, you think a plan might make you more rigid, but a plan actually helps you to be more flexible, more nimble, and adapt to change. And when we do it right, and I guarantee you we will do it right, it will unite and inspire our entire community. So the second part of your question is why now? And a lot of people would ask that. With everything happening, why now? And for me, the answer is the time is now. Like, if we're not going to do this now, when are we going to do it? Right? This is the time when the value of higher education is being questioned, when inclusion is positioned as a barrier to excellence instead of integral to it, when a liberal arts approach to education is essential for solving the complex problems that we see locally and globally today and tomorrow. This is actually the time for us to do this. And I want to push you a little further and say, not only is it the time, and we have this opportunity, but we actually have a responsibility. Like, we actually have a responsibility to continue to pursue our mission and our vision of inclusive excellence and redefining that in higher education more now than ever before. And so I believe that when we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate to the community and to the world the extraordinary value that is UMBC. Yeah. So one other question, why now for me? Like, why do I want to do this now? You will learn this. I want to work on the hardest problem that has the greatest impact. Right? I want to do that thing that when we accomplish it, I want to do the thing people say, you can't do that. I want to do that thing in service to the betterment of people's lives. Right? That's the thing I want to work on. And now is actually the moment for us all to do that thing. We have to make some decisions in hard times about what's important to us, and this requires us to be clear about our highest priorities and to be clear about our values. So now for me, I don't know any other time. I'm more excited about doing this now than ever.
Thank you, and yes, for all those reasons, thank you. So Valerie, for all those reasons, I'm excited about this too.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for us to really think how we can make a difference, improve the world right now when we need it the most. And it's really, I appreciate also the focus and the mission-driven work as we're starting the planning process. It's not just a set of priorities, it's focused, it's mission-driven, and also thinking about how our budget aligns with the mission of the institution. Particularly as we're starting the process, but maybe I shouldn't say starting. Are we really starting from scratch with a strategic plan? Do we already know where we're going? What did we learn in the BOLD conversations in our survey, the value survey we did last fall, that informed the development of the plan? And also, you earlier said honoring the history, and how is the plan building on 1.0 and 2.0?
So that's a great question. People ask me all the time, have we started? Where are we? So we are in the process. Now let me tell you, we're early in the process, right? It actually started with I count the process as starting with the 22 BOLD listening sessions. right? That's where we started. When I started to listen to you and you started to listen to each other, that was the start of the process. And then it continued with lots of conversations with shared governance leaders. And the goal there was, as we had those conversations with them, was to think about how are we going to reach in this process all of the people that you represent. I just want you to sit with the question, right? How are we going to reach all of the people that you represent? And then it continued with the value survey that you just completed. And all along the way, we've been doing also the necessary foundational work to help make this transition from 2.0 to 3.0 possible. We've been doing this around the leadership team, around policies, around practices, and there's so much more foundational work also for us to do. And just in case you missed it, we did walk through a couple crises and issues in that time. Right? A lot has been happening. But in myriad ways, I heard you. And I am so inspired by the clarity with which you said over and over again that inclusive excellence is who we are. You've just said it again in the values survey. Far outseating everything else is inclusive excellence. And there's academic excellence and all those other things, but there's inclusive excellence is number one. So I also heard you say something else in the bold listening sessions and just all along. I heard you say that as a community, yes, inclusive excellence is one, but we also need to talk about what does it mean for us now, right? To come to a common understanding for the university. What does it mean for us today and what is it going to mean for us in the future? So as a part of this process and as a community, we get the opportunity during this strategic planning process to figure that out, to get real clarity on when I say inclusive excellence and you say inclusive, what does that mean for us as an institution? Are we saying the same words, going in the same direction? So we'll do that work. But I also heard you do something else, which I loved. You said, we need to ask the question, where is inclusive excellence not evident on our campus? Now that's where I get excited. That's the real work. So as we go forward, we have to look at everything through that lens, and I think it's going to make us even more excellent when we do.
So really then, what I hear you say, what is loud and clear, is inclusive excellence is at the heart of who we are at UMBC. And I don't take that for granted because many universities do not know who they are. And the process often starts with identifying who are we as an institution. So it's very clear here, UMBC is inclusive excellence. It's the core of what we do. So let's move to and talk about priorities. What did you hear from the community and how has that shaped your vision?
So before I tell you the details of what I heard from you, let me tell you kind of a framing of this. So the priorities that you're going to see, and these are all preliminary everything, you're going to have an opportunity to weigh in and talk about all of these, but this is just giving you a sense of what we've heard so far. But the priorities have been shaped by the, are you looking at the screen? Listen to me for a second. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Just listen to me for a second. Okay. I could tell I just lost you. It was like I was teaching organic chemistry, and I was like, "What just happened?" They all. Okay, here we go. So I need you to know, like, the priorities, first of all, were shaped by the University System of Maryland Vision 2020 plan. Okay. So that's the first thing, because we are part of the University System of Maryland, and we should be contributing to that larger plan for the state of Maryland. The second thing is that they were shaped by the bold conversations, okay, the 22 hours of bold conversations. And then we took all of that, and then the steering committee had an opportunity to hear from me what I envision out of all of that. And then the steering committee did some more work, and since that time, this is what we've come to. Now, look at them. Okay? I just want you to look at for a second and have some feelings, because I'm going to speak to those feelings. I think I'm going to speak to your feelings. Okay. So if you look at these, they could describe almost any public institution Do you feel that? All right, okay, that's what I wanted you to feel, but I didn't want you to feel it too soon. They could describe almost any public institution in this country, okay? So it's good because we are a public institution in this country, okay? But when you look at them through an inclusive excellence lens, then you begin to see the beautiful complexity and the challenge and the opportunity for us to be uniquely UMBC. Okay, and that's what I'm going to talk you through. So what does that look like when you look at it through an inclusive excellence lens? If you don't, you just look like every other institution in the country, right? But that's not what we're going to do. So the first is grow student opportunity and success. So the inclusive excellence question there is, who are we not serving? That's our question. Who are we not serving? So I'll choose an example that's close to home. If 50% of Marylanders graduate from college, and only 10% of Baltimoreans who enter high school graduate from college, and we are less than 10 miles away, what does that mean for us? What is our responsibility? I'm not answering the question, I'm just asking you. Okay? I love that we honor the potential in all of our students. I asked, what does it mean to be an honors university? And someone who was around when that was crafted said to me, what we really mean is that we honor the potential in every one of our students. If you didn't know that, that's what that means. I know we have an honors program, but we honor the potential in every one of our students. And what I'm asking us to consider in 3.0 is, what potential have we yet to honor? And how beautiful would it be if we did? That's our version of growing opportunity. And what about success? The second part of that. What does it look like if we actually seek the success of every UMBC student? Listen to the words. I know we all care about student success, but I'm talking about every single student. We seek the success. Can you imagine a campus where we removed every systemic barrier to student success? For those of you who are faculty and staff who grade, and I'm not talking about rigor, I'm not talking about challenge. I'm talking about the systemic barriers to student success. What if we removed every single one of those?
It's a bold goal. I love it. And like you mentioned earlier, you want to do the hard work. And so many institutions also thrive to, support all students. But it really feels to me like redefining that. And if we meet that goal, that would be like doing the right thing as a public university, serving our community.
Yeah, so we look at the second one, transform teaching and learning. Okay, I want every university in the country to be transforming teaching and learning. But for here, what I am excited about is thinking about the future of curricular innovation. Okay? I imagine new programs, new frameworks at the undergraduate and at the graduate levels, and that our faculty and staff will create, listen to me, with all of your academic freedom rights, whatever you want to be in our curriculum. Okay, a few weeks ago that wasn't a big statement, it is today. Okay? And so we will invest as a university in that work as you imagine the curriculum of the future of 3.0.
And so I'm glad you say that, because I was here as provost, I'm convinced we have to reimagine our academic offerings to make sure we meet needs for the students of the future, particularly as we don't know what jobs will exist 10, 20 years from now. And that's a hard challenge and an exciting one that I look forward to engaging in. So how do we build on all the excellent programs, courses that we have to meet the needs of students and communities in the future? It's going to be a great opportunity.
Yeah. So did you think that was a challenge yet? I haven't given it to you. That's just what we're going to do because we're a university. Here's the challenge. what would it look like if that unique UMBC curriculum was being delivered by a faculty that reflected the diversity of Maryland and of the student body? Those don't look so generic anymore, do they? Now we're starting to look like what I think you told me is UMBC. And the other thing I want to say here is that it's supposed to be hard, right? We want to do the thing that people say, you can't do that. Oh, yes, we can, right? This is not going from 2.0 to 2.2. Not 2.3, not 2.4. This is 2.0 to 3.0. Right? That's the challenge.
Yeah. So like that, yes, that is bringing it to another level. It also speaks to something you mentioned earlier. What is our responsibility?
100%.
And how do we serve as a public university the
Yeah.
communities around us?
Yeah. So the next one is redefine excellence in research and creative achievement. Okay. So we will redefine excellence in research through an inclusive enterprise. Okay, that's just a statement all by itself, right? Redefining excellence in research through an inclusive enterprise. So here's my question. What would it look like for us to become a destination for any scholars who are seeking a welcoming, vibrant, creative, diverse research environment and community? We could be that place. What would it look like for us to be a destination for those scholars, and for you, by the way, this is for you, where you hear the words and your scholarship are respected, where who you are and your scholarship are respected. Think about the convergence of talent and ideas across the arts, humanities, social sciences, natural and mathematical sciences, and engineering that could happen if we were that beacon, that place. Right? Imagine how much more we could serve communities and improve the human condition if we were that research institution. Right? That's our challenge.
Thank you. So it also seems to me right now, this is just such an important time for higher education to do this work. Again, what is our responsibility? I think establishing UMBC as an anchor institution in the country for this work, positioning ourselves where the country needs us the most. And really I don't take for granted either that we're uniquely positioned in Maryland with a governor, a legislature, a system that are deeply committed to higher education and serving everyone in the state. And that really provides a special opportunity for us, as well as a responsibility.
It is. It is. Everybody's going to get nervous because I'm going to go off script here for a second. You all have seen me do this. It's unfortunate that this seems extraordinary. But it's extraordinary. Okay, I'm back on script. I'm off again. Inclusive excellence. I'm going to number 4. I know they're getting nervous. Inclusive excellence. There is no other kind of excellence. If we are who I know we are, and we lift our light from underneath the bushel, I hope that we actually literally redefine excellence in higher education. I want us to be the university that has done this so well that and it becomes so pervasive where people stop saying inclusive excellence. They just say excellence and they have the right definition. Okay, I'm back on script. Number 4, cultivate organizational innovation and vitality. Simply put, we want to create a workplace where continuous improvement is a part of our culture. Okay? Everywhere, right? Everywhere. Where fresh ideas are embraced. Everywhere, right? And where everyone has the tools and support they need to do their best work. Okay, so if this is the goal, it's the every part that's the hard part. This is happening somewhere, everywhere, but I mean everywhere, right? And for everyone. Okay? So if this is the goal, can you imagine what this would mean for our infrastructure? How would our infrastructure need to change? How would the services that we offer to our community and individuals need to change? How would our technology serve us? What would accessibility actually mean? Okay, so our people make us special. That's you. You make us special. And you are critical to our success. So I'll offer you what I offer to my students. Can you imagine an institution, UMBC, and can you imagine what would happen if we removed any systemic barrier to your success? We thought we're going to do it for the students. Why wouldn't we do it for everybody who works here? Now, let me talk about everybody again. Everybody who works here is not in this room. Some of the people who work here cannot be in this room, right? So we're asking, what if we do this for all of the people who work here? Remove any systemic barrier to your success, right? Not just for some, but for all. Some of the people you will never see. What if we made their lives and their work easy so that they could do the best that they could do? That's what we're trying to do. Should be ordinary, happens to be extraordinary. Right?
So to me, that really reflects excellence. So, and one of the things really that has stood out for me this past year are the people at UMBC. You truly are special, and it's what makes this institution. And I appreciate the thoughtfulness, because it doesn't happen in every strategic plan where, like, how do we support the people who are doing the work here? Make sure they have the resources to fully actualize UMBC 3.0, but also fully actualize yourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we go to the last one. Strengthen Maryland and its communities. Okay, so UMBC alumni, I'm going to start there, are already leading in state and local government, in industry, and in service to Marylanders across the state. Our alums are extraordinary, right? You can just clap for the alums. Yes. Yes. That's our product, y'all. They are extraordinary. So imagine a day when UMBC is infused in every county in the state and we are known. That's not the end of the sentence, but I'm just going to stop right there because that is a thing. I go places in the state where we are not known, right? But imagine that we are so infused in every county that we are known as a leading creator of talent and leadership, and known as the go-to partner in fueling economic and workforce development, right? Known. Can you imagine that UMBC is the first campus that comes to mind? University of Maryland, I want to change that B to an F, right? University of Maryland first campus, right? The first one that comes to mind when Marylanders dream big for their children, their careers, and their communities. I don't need to be College Park, not trying to be, right? There's a place for all of us, but I want to be the first thing that comes to people's minds when they start to dream. they can imagine that UMBC is a place for them to be. And perhaps one example of this that I'll give you, I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot more young people on our campus here lately. Young people meaning not our students, I mean middle schoolers, if you hadn't seen them. It's fantastic. A lot more that's on purpose, you all. That's on purpose. When I came in, I said, I dream of a day when every middle schooler in the state of Maryland steps on this campus, engages with our students, faculty, and staff, and imagines that this place could be theirs. Every middle schooler. So folks started doing it. And I know that we will reach that goal. I'll tell you this story. We were walking across campus, a group of all little girls, middle school little girls, were on their tour. By the way, the tour was being led by an alum who was in the Sherman Teacher Scholars Program. She was their teacher. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, we are living the dream, I'm just telling you. And so she says, President Ashby, will you come meet my students? I'm like, yeah, I can meet your students. Like, little girls, are you kidding me? Yeah. We talked, he says, this is the president, the group goes away, and there are two little girls who remain. One of them has a little notebook and a pen. And she says, I think I want to go here, but I don't know if my grades are good enough. I said, well, what's your GPA? She said, 3.0. I said, you're in. Right? And then we go on in the conversation, and she says, you're the president. I'm like, uh-huh. She said, what did you major in? Do you hear that? She was processing in her brain what she needed to major in to be the... Right? That event, that one conversation could be transformational for that, right? And you do it every day, right? You do it every day in the class. You see that transformation. So what I want and what I envision is for every one of our partnerships, I don't care if it's industry or with communities or with individuals, to be transformative, right? On purpose, in purpose. That's what I imagine.
So let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
So these are all great plans, but how are we going to do all these things in the current environment? Particularly amid the political challenges, budget, financial constraints, is this realistic? Is it possible to do all of this? Why plan when there are so many unknowns?
Yes. That's not in the script. So the answer is, let me deal with what actually is. So yes, we are contending with the state's financial constraints, with our state budget, and likely with some significant reduction in federal funds, very clearly. But can you imagine a UMBC where we didn't focus on student success? I don't care what the budget is. Can you imagine it? And can you imagine a UMBC that's not rooted in inclusive access? There's some things over which we do have control, right? So our priorities and our values are not shifting. I have to keep saying that. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me that in the last few weeks. Our priorities and our values are not shifting. We may need to pivot and be creative and adjust, and the time frame may change, and we don't know exactly when things will be able to happen, but we will still keep moving forward. Okay? That I guarantee you. And I know in these challenging times, the uncertainty is really overwhelming. I get it. And what I'll tell you is that I draw endless inspiration and joy from how deeply you care about UMBC and our people and are dedicated to seeing us move forward. So we will move forward, right? What's the other option? We don't have one, right? And especially if we say who we are, we now have a responsibility to just deal with reality and keep moving forward, right? So that's what we will do. So let me say one more thing as we come to a close here. I just described to you my vision, right? You did not hear many specifics about how or what or how much. Like, you didn't hear that, right? You heard my vision, right? So what I want to welcome, first of all, it's just an idea, right? At this point, what I'm inviting you to do is to think about what you've heard. Think about what resonates with you. Think about what doesn't resonate with you. This is going to be a process. Think about the questions that I asked. Think about the questions you think I should have asked. Think about different questions that you'd like to ask. This is your strategic plan, okay? And what I'm going to ask you to do is think about that, engage with the process, because that's inclusive excellence, right? Right? You're going to share your ideas, we're going to go back and forth, and then we're going to come to something that you create as a plan, right? You also are going to talk about what it is that we're going to do to get to the priorities that you finally choose, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? I am going to tell you I want every middle schooler in there. That's just a thing for me, y'all. But you're going to decide on the curriculum, on the activities, on the partner. Like, that's you. You're going to do that. And so we invite you to engage with what you've heard from me. Tweak it, change it, ask different questions, come up with something that inspires you. And then your job is going to be to fill in the details, right? The timeline, what would make us successful, what is our measure of accountability, what are the steps we need to take. That's you, okay? So I invite you to engage with that. What I am confident of is that inclusive excellence works. When all of your minds come together and we begin to craft this plan, it will be extraordinary. It will unite our community. It will inspire all those who read it, right? And I will say it once again, now is the time, and we collectively are more important now maybe than we've ever been. So I'm excited about strategic planning and the work that you are about to do. Okay? Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Valerie, for your inspiration and vision for UMBC, and please give Valerie a round of applause. So this is an exciting opportunity and time for UMBC, and one of the things that's also really clear for me in my first year is that innovation and entrepreneurship are central to the community. You are at UMBC, and you all serve the university community with so much dedication, and I'm really excited to work with you and further develop the plan and focus how we will meet our priorities and envision what UMBC 3.0 will look like and actualize that. Today we talked about the vision and long-term priorities. I also want to be mindful there are issues today we need to address, and I appreciate the university's focus this year on making sure we also address foundational infrastructure issues to make sure everyone can do their work well. For example, I've worked with the deans to identify infrastructure needs across the colleges, and the team has been working on a plan and starting implementing this to effectively respond to key building, research and teaching needs while also looking towards the future. And I want to talk a little bit more about the future and the next steps in the strategic planning process. Key features of our process are that it's going to be dynamic and it's going to be coherent. And it's dynamic in that we plan to regularly, probably annually, evaluate progress on the goals that we eventually develop and also assess whether the strategies supporting the plan are working and are still meeting our needs. The plan will be coherent in that each division and area will also be asked to develop a strategic plan that aligns with the university plan. So each one of you can, and hopefully will, be involved at your unit level to develop strategies to support the goals in the plan. The plan will be our plan. In addition to unit level involvement, we also want to ensure there's ample opportunity for community members to be involved in drafting the goals for the priority areas. We envision that each priority area, there will be about 5 to 8 goals. The 20+ steering committee members, and hopefully you see their names on the board slide behind me, have been asked to identify community members to serve on their priority area subcommittees, and we envision an additional 60 to 80 members will be part of this work. A guiding principle here is inclusive excellence, and we want to make sure these subcommittees have appropriate representation across the campus community. The leads for these subcommittees have also drafted a plan for how they will engage the community in the process of drafting the goals beyond the subcommittees, including using existing university structures, committees, and for example, focus groups where you can also provide input on specific and goals in a specific priority area. The drafts of those goals will then be shared with the full university community in the fall semester for feedback. And to stay updated, please also make sure to visit our website, planning.umbc.edu, and for any additional thoughts, please email us at strategicplanning@umbc.edu. As we close, I want to acknowledge shared governance leaders and leaders of the alumni board in the front rows. Thank you for being here. One of the things that also came out, even in UMBC 1.0, is the importance of shared governance at UMBC, and I want to recognize that. And I've also learned like the strong relationships with the alumni board and the opportunities we have to work with our alumni on all our priority areas. I also want to thank Carissa Chia and Renee Kirsch, who are co-leading the strategic planning effort, as well as the other members of the leadership team, Lynn Adams and Shannon Tinney-Lichtinger. I also want to thank all the members of the Strategic Planning Steering Committee for all the work they are putting into this effort to help us get organized and develop the right process for the UMBC community to go through the planning. Thank you all for attending today and being part of this conversation, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.